things just took a very interesting twist as a newly departed Oiler is already looking to make his way back to oil country. All that more today here on Oilers Digest. It's pretty obvious in the intro. It is the Evander Kane video today, folks, and we'll get into that. But first, we are 81 subscribers away from 4,000. So if you haven't already subscribed here to the channel, if you're loving the content here during the summer months, I know news is very, very dry, but we still try to find a way to make things work, folks. And with Evander Kane, it is never a dull moment, so make sure you subscribe here and stay locked to Oilers Digest. But without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? With back so soon, yes, when it comes to Evander Kane and a potential return to the Edmonton Oilers. This comes to you from the Too Much Hockey podcast. I know for every 80 misses, they have one hit there, but who knows? They might have something here with Evander Kane, as they're now calling themselves the official Oiler insiders in the city of Edmonton. Even though, again, they get more things wrong than they do get things right. But from the Too Much Hockey podcast, the Canucks left winger Evander Kane, it's still weird seeing him, associated with the Vancouver Canucks. He had 2 goals and 2 assists in a Division I beer league game at Castle Downs Rink in Edmonton for the Broad Street Bullies, a team that he played for in the summer of 2023. Kane played under the name Fa-Afo, which stands for, bleep around and find out. This is a family-friendly channel here, folks. Look it up if you want to, but he seems to be associated with that term, and Evander Kane is spending a summer in Edmonton. It's his new home, and which makes things very interesting here. Some conversations on returning to the Oilers organization after he plays out his final year of this current contract. We all know that the Oilers, traded Evander Kane to the Vancouver Canucks for pretty much a cap dump there. And the Oilers obviously did win that trade, but you can see there Evander Kane, just a whole mishmash of equipment there, a Flyers jersey, and then, the Oilers helmet, and the Oilers gloves there, and then the Vancouver pants there, which makes for a very interesting ensemble there from Evander Kane. As I mentioned, a return to the Oilers, unless it's a very, very cheap contract. Sure, the Oilers do have the space next year, when they, are without Adam Henrique. This is probably Adam Henrique's final season with the Oilers there. Kasperi Kapanen, David Tomashek, who knows what he's going to turn out to be this season. The Oilers do have the cap space, but again, Evander Kane, at the end of his current contract, will turn 35 over the 2026 off season there, and at 5.125, that's just far too expensive for the Oilers, especially the type of player that he is. The power forward, and power forwards, eventually as they do get older, they don't become as effective there compared to other playmakers or player archetypes, I should say, in the NHL. It's fairly obvious, more physical play style. It leads to a shorter career. But for Evander Kane, sure, he had his moments with the Oilers, but during the Stanley Cup final, you can sort of see the officiating neutralized his play style, and as much as he, was an effective goal scorer for the Oilers when he was healthy, it just, again, would not be worth it for the Oilers. As Stan Bowman said, the Oilers are trying to get, younger in faster there with Evander Kane. That would just be doing the exact opposite there. When it comes to his J-Fresh hockey player card, not very friendly to him, except for, the finishing, pretty average at finishing and goals in the 91st percentile. So for defense or even straight offense, doesn't really drive play, but, for goal scoring, I mean, he is your guy, and Kane is the kind of power forward that teams, including the Oilers, love when he's healthy. He's a difference maker. He can cause problems based on the number of penalties he takes, but he's an impact forward who can play a physical brand of hockey and score in bunches. Now, in my opinion, Evander Kane, sure, had a solid playoffs, but he hasn't been the same since he got, his arm lacerated, or wrist lacerated, I should say, his lower arm, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that was in November 2022, so it's been some time since Evander Kane was at 100% for the Oilers. The wrist problems really, affected his finishing when he did come back to the team. And again, as I mentioned, from Jay Fresh, not very positive towards Evander Kane. He's got his pros and his cons. Evander Kane is a shoot-first power forward who plays a simple game premised on speed, checking, and scoring. Not a strong play driver at all, and takes tons of dumb penalties. Needs to play with other skilled playmakers there. And also from Jay Fresh here, as I mentioned, power forwards sort of aging out. Not just power forwards, but players all across the board. Once they turn 35, it's kind of obvious that Father Time does remain undefeated there when it comes to the forward wins above replacement or WAR components at even strength age curves. There's the even strength offense, even strength defense, penalty war in even strength finishing. What Evander Kane is good at is finishing, but after the age of 35, that's when it starts to take a tumble there. And again, sure, he's physical, but it would not be worth it for the Oilers, bring him back on a very expensive contract there. Maybe, less than $2 million. Even that would just be, wishful thinking there for the Oilers. And they already have a guy like, Trent Frederick to sort of replace Evander Kane in the play style that he brings. Sure, Trent Frederick doesn't have, the finishing pedigree that Evander Kane brought to the Oilers when he, had the whole conflict with San Jose there, and Evander Kane came to the Oilers in the winter of 2022 there. But Trent Frederick, he's physical. Sure, the points aren't all there, but, that will come with time with the Oilers, as Trent Frederick will come into the team 100% healthy compared to the playoffs there. And as I mentioned, Evander Kane, a very interesting career to say the least there. You can see, during his time with the Winnipeg Jets in the 2020 or 2012 lockout, took the money photo, and then, when he was with the Buffalo Sabres, arrested by Buffalo police. And last but not least, with the San Jose Sharks there, you can see the COVID-19, when he tried to forge the vaccination record card, and that led to San Jose terminating his contract in the Oilers, successfully signing him to a contract there. Many people were torn on that, but, Evander Kane seemed to have, dare I say, changed when he came into the Oilers organization. There you can see it was pretty much this is your last chance here in the NHL, or else you are out there. And Evander Kane seemed to smarten up with the team there. Not a whole lot of controversy, not a whole lot of problems within the dressing room, or at least that I know of. Anyways, with Evander Kane, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl in the rest of the leadership group. That's also one leadership group that I expected wouldn't take a whole lot of problems, a whole lot of buffoonery. I should say there. And Evander Kane, on his way out of Edmonton, this was pretty much the only team in his career that, he left on good terms with. To the Oilers ownership, front office, coaching staff, and trainers, thank you for believing in me, in giving me the opportunity to be part of such a respected and passionate franchise. Your support meant everything, and I'll always be grateful for the chance to compete in the blue and orange. There you can see, again, left the Oilers on good terms there. He was at Draisaitl's wedding there. You can see many Oilers and former Oilers in that picture. You can see Sam Gagner, Papa Oiler, in that photo, having the time of their lives there. So Evander Kane still on great terms with the Oilers there. And, lots of Oiler fans on social media divided. You can see on Twitter, Carl McGill, we'd welcome him back with open arms after his contract is up. But there's also the yin to the yang there with Evander Kane. Welcome back to costing your team playoff games because you can't stay out of the box. Now, sure, dumb penalties, but, the Oilers coaching staff in, management, front office there were a few members that were unhappy that, the Oilers did trade Evander Kane, one of which was Paul Coffey, also coming from the Two Mutts Hockey Podcast. Maybe a broken clock is right twice a day here, folks. We are hearing that Paul Coffey wasn't happy with the management staff in regards to trading away Evander Kane to the Canucks. He expressed why a player like Kane would be someone to keep and re-sign because how deep his connection is in the community. Lots of community work that Evander Kane has done in Edmonton. I'll give him credit for that. He lives in the city around, as we mentioned. He was in Edmonton during the summer. His connection with his teammates and team staff is also very strong. Kane brought a lot of people together and had a role within the team that will be hard to replace. And because of that, there's some talk Paul Coffey will have some more say going forward on the player movement side because of this move. As we all know, Paul Coffey is an advisor to Daryl Katz and his son Harrison there. So just because Paul Coffey left the Oilers bench there, he's no longer, in control of the Oilers defense. That doesn't mean he's still not in the Oilers organization, and he is still an advisor to the ownership there. So it's very interesting to see, Paul Coffey, normally not the most animated guy, very upset that Evander Kane left. And as I mentioned, Evander Kane, I don't want to say he overstayed his welcome with the team, but it was time for him to, go do something different if he comes back to the Oilers on a cheap contract. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it there, but hopefully he tears it up in Vancouver, not against the Oilers, but a fresh start for Evander there to sort of finally prove something for his hometown team, the Vancouver Canucks, after playing with the Vancouver Giants in the WHL for his junior career, even winning the Memorial Cup in 2007 there as a rookie. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments what you think about a potential Evander Kane return. Would you welcome him back back? Or would you say, you know what, you spent your time with us, go do something else there? I'm very interested to see what you have in the comments. A very polarizing player in oil country there. You either love him or you hate him. There is no in between on a guy like number 91, Evander Kane. But folks, enjoy your weekend. Take care. I'm Matt.